Namaste, hello, and welcome to the World Report. I'm your host, Priyanka Deo. India's astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla and his crew are expected to splash down off the coast of California in just a matter of hours from now. After an 18-day mission aboard the ISS, the Dragon Grace spacecraft left the station Monday afternoon IST. Tesla Model Y will be the first model of the brand to be launched in India. The brand will have the RWD, that's rear-wheel drive, and long-range RWD variants of the car on sale in India. Now, the RWD variant will come at a starting price of just under 60 lakh, while the long-range version of the car will have a price tag of just about 68 lakhs. This brings the on-road price of the RWD version to 61 lakhs, and the long-range version will come at just around 69 lakh on-road. Now, this includes the administration and service fee of 50,000 rupees, which includes 18% GST. That's as per the official website of the brand. NDTV Profits Mugdha gets us more from Ground Zero.
What you see right behind me is the first showroom of Tesla in Mumbai, and let me give you a little update on what all we can see here. Of course, you can see the Tesla logo right on the left-hand side, extreme left, and then a big screen showing Tesla's supercharger and products. We have two cars displayed here. Two model-wise, which is what we were expecting Tesla to launch the products with, launch its entry with, and that's what we see here. We also see a supercharger right at the back there. That is a supercharger that you can see towards the end. I'm sure you can spot it towards the deep inside the showroom, though the showroom is not too wide with space for just two cars, but I'm expecting there must be service area behind this. This is how the Tesla showroom looks right now. I must also tell you here that this Model Y is what we had known that is imported with some superchargers and is expected to be launched around 50 lakhs. The base variant, at least. The charging cost, the importing cost was around 27 lakhs, a little over 27 lakhs, and with duties included, it will come somewhere around 50 lakhs. This will be the base variant, is what we are told. Let's see what are all the details, but definitely a very exciting day, and you can see the buzz around here.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar called on Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing this morning. He conveyed greetings from President Draupadi Murmu and PM Modi and apprised President Xi of recent developments in bilateral ties, emphasizing the value India places on the guidance of both nations' leaders. Last evening, Jaishankar held detailed talks with counterpart Wang Yi, sending a clear message to normalize ties, resolve border tensions, and also to avoid trade curbs. He stressed the need for a far-seeing approach in building a stable and a constructive relationship, underlining that both nations must address border issues, resume people-to-people exchanges, as well as remove trade restrictions. Jaishankar also reiterated that recent border de-escalation must lead to lasting peace and cooperation. My colleague Mohammad Ghazali joins us for more on this. Ghazali, could you sum up what the EAM said in a nutshell for all of our viewers tuned in right now?
See, the External Affairs Minister spoke about the relevance of de-escalation, that how the border dispute issue still needs a lot of addressing there, and both sides will have to work together. And that was reciprocated by the Chinese Foreign Minister, Mr. Wang Yi. Besides that, Indian External Affairs Minister also spoke about and sort of complimented China for resuming the Kailash Mansarovar Yatras, showing that there are some confidence-building measures which are being worked upon. He also spoke about that after the Kazan summit last year, where Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping, they spoke about for the first time after the Galvan clash, and then a lot of high-profile visits have taken place from Indian side to China. Our Foreign Secretary, Mr. Misri, National Security Advisor, Mr. Doval, Rajnath Singh was there last month for the SCO Defense Minister meet there in China. So that kind of shows that later this year, when the SCO Political or Leaders Summit will be happening, it is very likely that Prime Minister Modi will also be visiting there, trying to show that the discord between the two countries being attempted from both sides that it should now be resolved, and lot of negotiations, lot of talks are going to happen in future as well between the two countries.
A top-level Indian delegation has landed in Washington for crucial trade negotiations with the United States. The clock is ticking. Now it's just 50 days left before the U.S. could reimpose steep tariffs on India, especially on steel, aluminum, as well as autos. Led by Commerce Ministry officials and Chief Negotiator Rajesh Agarwal, India is holding firm on its stance: no duty cuts in agriculture or dairy. In return, India wants tariff relief on labor-intensive exports like textiles, gems, and seafood. Now, the goal here, this is a $500 billion bilateral trade boost by 2030. But first, both sides are pushing for an interim deal before August 1st. Agriculture, autos, and industrial goods are the sticking points. Talks are intense and the time is tight. The next 50 days will decide whether the two economic giants can avoid a trade showdown and secure a breakthrough deal. Listen in to Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, followed by my colleague Rishabh Bhatnagar.
I've often said trade negotiations are not done on camera with the media. They are done between two nations, and negotiations are going on at a very fast pace and in the spirit of mutual cooperation, so that we can come out with a win-win trade complementing agreement with the United States.
Right. What we picked up from official sources is the fact that the Indian team is in Washington for another round of talks. This time around, though, the chief negotiator, Rajesh Agarwal, who is also a special secretary, will be joining in on Wednesday. What is expected is that these talks will last about 4 days, post which there might be a mini trade deal or an interim trade deal that will come out between India and the US. What we've seen is that Indian negotiators were in the US as early as July 4th that weekend, and they were hoping for a deal before the July 9 deadline. But with the July 9 deadline now shifting to August 1st, there is extended time for more negotiations to happen. What we're also picking up is that this deal might not be a very limited deal, in the sense that whatever will be finished and agreed upon between the two sides will be packaged as the interim trade deal. And then a first full tranche is expected around October this year. And then we'll have the full and final FTA sometime next year. That is how the timeline goes. What India can expect is, of course, relief from these relentless tariffs that have been coming on, one of which, and these threats also in terms of the BRICS tariff, in terms of the pharma tariff threats, a bunch of threats coming in from the Trump administration. That is something that has unsettled India as well, given that if there is a deal, Indian negotiators would want assurance that there are no additional tariffs. So that is something that is on the cards, and we will keep our eyes peeled on whatever comes out of Washington.
Thanks so much, Rishabh. Next story. Time is running out for Indian nurse Nimisha Priya, sentenced to death in Yemen for the 2017 killing of her former business partner, who she says harassed her and stole her passport. With just hours left until her July 16th execution, India's Supreme Court was told the government has reached its limit. The Attorney General said, and I quote, "It is unfortunate, but there's only so much that we can do." Priya's only hope now, it's a last-minute pardon from the victim's family in exchange for blood money, a $1 million offer they have so far refused, citing honor. The case is complicated by Priya's detention in Houthi-controlled territory, limiting India's diplomatic access. Activists are urging direct talks, but officials say we've done all we can do. With the clock ticking, her fate now lies in Yemen's hands. India has slammed what it calls a despicable and regrettable act. Eggs were hurled at devotees during the 53rd Rath Yatra in Toronto on July 11th. The Ministry of External Affairs condemned the attack, calling it a shameful disruption of a peaceful and spiritual procession that promotes unity. The eggs were allegedly thrown from a residential building as ISKCON devotees sang bhajans in the streets. Videos show the aftermath. Smashed eggs on the road, but the devotees marched on. Now, social media users call it an act of hate, while former Odisha CM Naveen Patnaik urged strong action, saying that it deeply hurt religious sentiments. President Trump has announced a 50-day ultimatum to end the war in Ukraine, and this is backed by a bold two-part strategy. The U.S. will massively arm Ukraine via NATO, with Europe sending Patriot systems and missiles replenished later by America. Trump also warned of 100% tariffs on any country still trading with Russia if a peace deal is not reached in 50 days. That means countries like India could pay double if they keep buying Russian oil. Trump called the new weapons a top of the line and said Putin should now think twice. NATO chief Mark Rutte confirmed the plan, while Ukraine's President Zelensky welcomed the support and vowed to push for peace. But skeptics in Moscow called the move a big bluff.
And we make the best equipment, the best missiles, the best of everything. The European nations know that. And we've made a deal today, and I'm going to have Mark speak about it, but we've made a deal today where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them. The United States will not be having any payment made. We're not buying it, but we will manufacture it and they're going to be paying for it.
So what we will do is work through the NATO systems to make sure that we know what Ukrainians need, so that we can make packages. Of course, in a way, we discussed it this morning with Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon, in a way that, of course, the US will put on its stockpiles necessary to defend this country. That's absolutely clear. But it will mean that Ukraine can get its hands on really massive numbers of military equipment, both for air defense, but also missiles, ammunition, etc., etc.
Ukrainian President Zelensky has nominated First Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenki to lead his cabinet and significantly renew its work in the most notable shakeup of his government since Russia's full-scale invasion. Now, if approved by Parliament, Sviridenki, who also serves as current economic minister, would replace current Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal to become her country's 19th head of government. The Russian Defense Ministry reported that over the past 24 hours, Russian forces had taken control of 2 settlements and launched strikes on Ukrainian military-industrial facilities in several directions. They also targeted military recruitment centers, military airport infrastructure, as well as storage depots for drones and anti-ship missiles. This is according to the ministry. On the same day, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported 88 clashes along the front lines as of Monday afternoon, with Povrovsk and Lyman being the main battle areas. Ukrainian forces repelled dozens of Russian attacks, the General Staff added, and also reporting Russian airstrikes in the Chernihiv and Sumy regions as well. A political billboard battle is lighting up Times Square, New York, and it comes with a 50-day warning. A bold new digital ad urges New Yorkers to flee to Ohio, slamming Democratic mayoral nominee Zoran Mamdani as a radical socialist while pitching Republican Vivek Ramaswamy as a pro-freedom alternative. Backed by a Ramaswamy super PAC, the $50,000 billboard contrasts the 2 Indian-American rising stars, Mamdani in blue, New York, and Ramaswamy running red in Ohio. With just 50 days to go before November elections, Ramaswamy's team says it is a choice between socialist totalitarianism or American freedom. President Donald Trump has won Supreme Court approval to slash nearly 1,400 jobs from the U.S. Education Department, or U.S. Department of Education. In a 6-3 decision, the conservative majority lifted a lower court block, greenlighting Trump's executive order to begin shutting down the department, and this is part of his push to dismantle the administrative state. Education Secretary Linda McMahon calls it a historic win, but Justice Sotomayor warns of a constitutional crisis, saying that it usurps Congress and could cripple civil rights protections, student aid, as well as support for disabled kids. States and unions now have 50 days to respond as schools brace for major funding gaps and possible delays in financial aid. Pakistan has said that it is in the process of creating a national paramilitary force, prompting concern among opposition parties as well as human rights groups that it could be used as a tool of political repression. Now, the move turns an existing paramilitary force deployed on Pakistan's northwestern border with Afghanistan into a national security force that will be called the Federal Constabulary, State Minister for Interior Talal Chaudhary told a press conference in the eastern city of Faisalabad. Israel's army said Monday that it struck military tanks in southern Syria, where government forces and Bedouin tribes clashed with Druzi militias in the latest escalation in the Middle East country, struggling for stability after a 13-year civil war. Dozens of people have been killed in the fighting between the local militias and clans in Syria's Sweda province. Government security forces that were sent to restore order on Monday also clashed with local armed groups. China on Tuesday announced the successful launch of the Tianzhou 9 cargo craft, which is delivering supplies for its orbiting Tiangong space station. The Long March 7 Y-10 rocket carrying the spacecraft blasted off at 5:34 from the Wenchang spacecraft launch site in China's southern island province of Hainan, and this is according to the China Manned Space Agency. About 10 minutes after the blast-off, the Tianzhou 9 separated from the rocket and entered its designated orbit. Its solar panels then unfolded. The cargo craft will later conduct a rendezvous and docking with the space station combination. And afterwards, the Shenzhou 20 crew, which boarded the space station on April 24th, will enter the cargo craft and transfer the items as scheduled. It's time we slip into a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the World Report. The Pentagon has signed a multi-million-dollar deal to begin using Elon Musk's artificial intelligence chatbot Grok as part of a wider rollout of AI tools for government use. The $200 million contract is part of its Grok for Government program and aligns with the Trump administration's push for more aggressive adoption of artificial intelligence. It also comes just days after Grok sparked backlash for sprouting anti-Semitic posts, including praise for Adolf Hitler on X, the social media platform that's owned by Musk. Musk said that the bot was too compliant and too eager to please. He also said that the issue was being addressed. Starbucks is about to shift to a 4-day work week from the office from a 3-day work week, says CEO Starbucks Brian Niccol. He said that the coffee giant will require many of its employees to work out of office for a minimum of 4 days a week from the current 3 as part of a new policy expected to kick in later this year. Now, this policy would include common days of work from Monday to Thursday, applicable to Seattle and Toronto support centers, as well as regional offices in North America. Niccol said this in a message shared with partners on the company's website on Monday. The Russian ruble reversed losses against the dollar and rose against China's yen after U.S. President Donald Trump warned that he would impose, and I quote, very severe tariffs on Russia if no deal on a peaceful settlement is made in 50 days. As of 4:05 GMT, the ruble was 0.2% weaker at 78.10 per US dollar after hitting 78.75 during the day. This means that the ruble is up about 45% against the dollar since the start of the year. Fauja Singh, the iconic runner who earned the tag of the world's oldest marathoner, died at the age of 114 years old in a road accident on Monday. Known as the Turbaned Tornado, a global icon for defying age as well as limitations, he died at a hospital after a road accident in Jalandhar district on Monday evening. He was struck by an unidentified vehicle while out for a walk in his native village in Punjab's Jalandhar district. Singh was immediately rushed to a private hospital but succumbed to his injuries during treatment. He was born in 1911 in Jalandhar. He only started running at the age of 89. Condolences are pouring in from across the country and across the world for the centenarian athlete who has become a global symbol of resilience and healthy aging. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also expressed grief, calling him extraordinary for the way that he inspired Indian youth especially to embrace fitness. Sergio Perez is set to return to Formula One in 2026, joining the fledgling Cadillac team as its lead driver. Now, Perez, who finished runner-up to Max Verstappen in the 2023 World Championship, has spent 2025 on the sidelines after leaving Red Bull Racing at the end of 24. Despite signing a new 2-year deal in June 2024, Perez's sudden decline in form cost him his drive at Red Bull, with Liam Lawson replacing the Mexican for 25. Since his sudden exit, Perez has since been vindicated, with Lawson only lasting 2 races at Red Bull Racing before being dropped for Racing Bull's Yuki Tsunoda. Shubham Gill was extremely proud of the fight that his team put after being down and out, but rued the absence of 150 partnership and Rishabh Pant's first innings run out in their 22-run defeat against England in the 3rd test at the Lords. Ravindra Jadeja fought gamely with a dogged unbeaten 61 off 181 balls and nearly took India home with Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj before the team got all out for 170. I quote, "Extremely proud. It was as close a test match as it can get, played over 5 days and comes down to the last session. I was pretty confident of our chances with plenty of batting left. We needed a couple of 50-run partnerships, but we weren't able to get that." Gill said this during the post-match prize distribution ceremony. The 2025 Emmy nominations are set to be announced. The nominees in 2 categories, Best Talk Series and Reality Competition Series, will be announced around 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Nominees in other major categories will be revealed via live stream on the Emmys website and TV Academy's YouTube channel below at 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time. The announcement, delivered by actors Harvey Guillen in What We Do in the Shadows and Brenda Song from Running Point, and Television Academy Chair Chris Abrego, will take place live from the Wolf Theatre at the Academy's Saban Media Center. Production is officially underway on the Harry Potter TV series, and HBO is providing a look at Dominic McLaughlin as the boy wizard taken at Warner Brothers Studio in Leavesden, UK. McLaughlin stars alongside Arabella Stanton as Hermione Granger and Alastair Stout as Ron Weasley. That's all for today. News continues on the other side. Thank you for watching The World Report. This is Priyanka Deo signing off. Namaste.